I used to think love could survive anything, that if two people truly cared, they'd always find their way back, no matter how far they drifted. But that illusion died tonight. I heard my wife whisper another man's name. Not to me, but to someone on the phone, thinking I was asleep. Her name was Melissa, and for 4 years she'd been my whole reason to keep going. I worked overtime, skipped nights out, and built our little home piece by piece, believing I was building our future. But lately, something had changed. The warmth in her laughter was gone. The spark in her eyes had dimmed. Our bed felt less like a place to rest and more like a silent battlefield. One evening, she came home smelling like someone else's perfume. I asked where she'd been. She smiled faintly and said, "Just drinks with co-workers." But her eyes couldn't meet mine. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, wondering if I'd already lost her and just hadn't accepted it yet. The weeks that followed were filled with quiet betrayals, hidden texts, late-night calls, business dinners that went on too long. I tried convincing myself I was just being paranoid. Maybe she was stressed. Maybe I was imagining it. But deep down, I already knew. So I did what any broken man desperate for the truth would do. I bought a small voice recorder. I hid it under the couch where she liked to sit during her late-night calls. For days, I tried not to think about it, tried to convince myself there'd be nothing to find. But when I finally pressed play, my hands went numb. Her voice filled the room, soft, affectionate, but not for me. She laughed. She flirted. She said he made her feel alive again. And then came the words that shattered me completely. "He's nothing like Adam. He's exciting. I feel wanted again." That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there in the dark, listening to the sound of the woman I loved choosing someone else. And for the first time, I realized silence was the loudest answer I could give her. The next morning, she acted like nothing had happened. She poured her coffee, hummed softly, smiled like everything was normal. I watched her from across the table. The woman I once couldn't imagine living without, and felt absolutely nothing. That emptiness hurt more than the betrayal itself. I didn't confront her right away. No, I wanted her lies to collapse under their own weight. I wanted her to feel what it was like to live inside the truth she'd built for herself. So, for 2 weeks, I pretended. I smiled when she smiled, kissed her cheek before her work dinners, told her she looked beautiful, because she did, just not for me. Meanwhile, I prepared everything. I backed up the recording, created a folder of every lie, every laugh, every excuse. The final clip was her saying she didn't feel wanted anymore. I didn't make it to hurt her. I made it so she could finally face what she'd done. One night, she came home late again. I was sitting on the couch, calm, almost peaceful. She asked, "You're still up?" "Yeah," I said. "Thought we could watch something together." She shrugged and sat down, scrolling through her phone. I reached for the remote, turned on the TV, and pressed play. The screen went dark for a moment. Then her voice filled the room. At first, she tried to laugh it off. "What is this?" she said. But when her own words, "He's exciting, I feel wanted again," played out loud, her smile vanished. She turned to me, pale and trembling. "Adam, what did you do?" I didn't say a word. I just let her listen. Every secret, every confession, every betrayal. When it ended, I stood up and said quietly, "Now you know what I've been hearing every night." She started to cry, reaching for me, saying she could explain, that it wasn't what it sounded like. But explanations don't mean much when the truth's already spoken for itself. For years, I'd begged for her honesty, fought for her love. This time, I didn't have to fight at all. "I made a mistake," she whispered. It didn't mean anything. I looked at her, mascara streaked down her cheeks, and said softly, "Mistakes don't last for months. They're not something you whisper about in the dark." She broke down, sobbing, her hands shaking. I walked over to the table, opened a drawer, and took out a small envelope. Inside were the divorce papers I'd signed a week before. I placed them in front of her. Her eyes widened. "You already decided this?" "I decided the moment you stopped being mine." I said, I just wanted you to hear yourself first." The room went quiet except for her crying. Then her tone shifted. Anger, desperation. "You can't just walk away after everything we built." But I already had. I grabbed my jacket, looked around a house I built with my own hands, and realized it wasn't home anymore. It was just a graveyard of memories. She followed me to the door, begging, promising it was over, saying she'd do anything to fix it. But some things can't be fixed. I looked at her one last time and said, "You had your chance to fight for us. Now I'm fighting for myself." The look on her face, shock, regret, realization, will stay with me forever, because in that moment, she finally understood that I was gone for good. I didn't answer her calls after that, didn't look back. I moved into a small apartment across town and started over. And for the first time in years, I could finally breathe without waiting for lies. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that recording. Her voice used to cut through me like glass. Now it's just a reminder that no matter how much you love someone, you can't save them from their own choices. She reached out months later,